LaTisha Scott recently opened up about something that caught the attention of many viewers. She revealed that she actually thought about suing Martell Holt, but after speaking with her attorney, she came to the conclusion that it might not be worth it. This situation is not only interesting because of the drama between LaTisha and Martell, but it also opens up a bigger conversation about what public figures, especially reality TV stars, can and cannot do when it comes to protecting their reputations. On the surface, it looks like LaTisha was ready to fight back, but once she received legal advice, she realized that being on a reality show changes the rules. LaTisha explained that she has always stood by her words and never lied about anyone. If she says something publicly, she stands 10 toes down on it. But when Martell made claims about her, she admitted that she felt it crossed the line. She was angry because Martell's words suggested that he had seen her in an intimate act with someone, and she found that to be extremely low and damaging. For LaTisha, it wasn't just gossip or shade, it was a lie that hit her reputation hard. That's what pushed her to think about legal action. She went as far as talking to her attorney to find out what her options might be. Her attorney reminded her of a reality that many celebrities and public figures eventually face. Once you are in the public eye, there are certain things people can say about you, even if they are untrue, and it's very hard to fight back legally. The lawyer explained that as a public figure, you give up some of the protections that private people have. People can talk about you, speculate about your life, and even tell lies about you, and often, there is very little you can do about it. That was a hard truth for LaTisha to hear because she was deeply hurt by the claims Martell made, but it was also a wake-up call. LaTisha said her lawyer was very direct and told her that she could waste her money and waste her time trying to sue, but in the end, she likely wouldn't get anywhere. The attorney also told her that while there are some cases where a lawsuit could be filed, this particular situation wasn't one of them. The words Martell spoke, as damaging as they were, still fell under the umbrella of things that come with being a reality TV star. In other words, the lawsuit might feel satisfying in theory, but in practice, it wouldn't go anywhere. For LaTisha, this advice forced her to step back and think about how to handle things differently. Instead of trying to fight it out in court, she leaned on her faith and her patience. She said that time, wisdom, and God would handle the situation far better than she could. While she was clearly still upset, she seemed to have accepted that there are some battles that just aren't worth fighting. She also called out the people who encouraged Martell or clapped for him when he made the damaging claims, saying that it was low behavior. For her, the whole situation was an example of how desperate and ugly things can get when people are trying to tear each other down. This story becomes even more interesting when you think about it in the bigger context of the show and the people involved. Martell, during a conversation with Maurice, said that if he was lying, LaTisha should sue him. That was his way of doubling down and daring her to take action. But instead of rushing into it, she sought advice, and what she learned shows just how tricky it can be to deal with defamation when you are a public figure. Now, what makes this even more layered is that Maurice, who is both LaTisha's brother-in-law and a lawyer, is currently suing bloggers for things they said about him. That's why many people are questioning who exactly LaTisha spoke with. She made it sound like she consulted a different attorney, probably one with entertainment law experience, because her conclusion was completely opposite of Maurice's actions. Maurice is actually pursuing legal cases against people, while LaTisha decided not to waste her time or money. That contrast is striking and makes people wonder about the legal advice each of them is getting. Another layer to this is the reality TV contracts that stars sign. Kenya Moore once explained that when reality stars sign these contracts, they are agreeing that their storylines could be shown in exaggerated or even untrue ways. That means by signing the release, the stars are accepting that their image might be shaped in ways that don't fully reflect reality. So, if LaTisha's attorney reminded her of this, it makes sense why she realized that suing wouldn't be worth it. She has already agreed, in writing, to a certain level of exposure and risk, but even though she understood it legally, it doesn't erase the personal hurt she felt. LaTisha said she was upset because lies like that can cut deep, especially when they suggest inappropriate behavior. She was angry not only at Martell but also at the women who cheered him on when he said it. For her, it was an insult to her character and her marriage, and she wanted to defend herself. That's why she spoke out in the way that she did, and why she initially thought about taking it further legally. What's also important here is that LaTisha is now experiencing what other cast members, like Melody, have experienced for years. Many people pointed out that when Melody was on the receiving end of lies, gossip, and negative comments, LaTisha and others didn't always have the same level of sympathy. But now that she is going through it herself, she sees how painful it can be. It's almost like the tables have turned, and she's getting a taste of what Melody had to endure in past seasons. LaTisha also used her platform to talk about other things during her live, like Sculpt, the company that she and Marceau own. She shared that Martell was once a co-founder but was bought out for $20,000. According to her, the company wasn't making money at the time, and that's why Martell took the buyout. Since then, she said, Sculpt has grown into a multi-million-dollar company that has even built 3 hotels. That's a big claim, and it sounds like a major success story. But the strange part is that none of this has really been shown on the actual show. This is where the disconnect comes in for many viewers. LaTisha says Sculpt has done amazing things, but the audience hasn't really seen that journey. Unlike shows like Real Housewives of Atlanta, where viewers got to see Candy and Todd build their businesses step by step, LaTisha and Marceau haven't brought the cameras along for Sculpt's big projects. For example, if they really built 3 hotels, why wasn't that documented on the show? That would have been a major storyline, inspiring to viewers, and proof of their accomplishments. Instead, fans only hear about it in lives or interviews, which makes it hard to connect the dots. The lack of transparency on the show is confusing because back in season 1, there was a storyline about Marceau being considered for a hotel project. It was emotional for Maurice, who said it was incredible that they had come from Pontiac to building hotels. But after that moment, viewers never really saw the results. No construction, no ribbon cuttings, no tours of the finished buildings. It leaves people wondering why such important and positive parts of their lives aren't being highlighted on the show. Some fans think it might be a choice by production, while others think LaTisha and Marceau simply prefer not to share certain details. But the end result is the same. Viewers are left with more questions than answers. That's why when LaTisha says Sculpt has built hotels and is now worth millions, some people struggle to believe it without seeing proof on the show. It's not about calling her a liar, but about wanting to actually go along on the journey, the way reality TV was originally intended. LaTisha also answered some questions from fans during her live, like ones about Chris Fletcher's real estate license. She said that would be explained on the show and that the Fletchers weren't very forthcoming about it. This was another example of her using her platform to address things directly instead of waiting for them to play out in edited episodes, but what stands out the most from this live is still her talk about possibly suing Martell. It shows how much his words hurt her and how much she wanted to defend herself. It also shows the harsh reality of being a reality TV star. Once you sign up for it, you open yourself up to criticism, lies, and gossip, and often, the law won't protect you. Her decision not to sue also reflects a kind of growth. Instead of wasting money and energy on a case she wouldn't win, she chose to let time and faith handle it. She said that God isn't finished yet and that she trusts things will work out in her favor. That kind of patience and wisdom is something she clearly had to learn over time, and this situation tested her ability to stay grounded. In the bigger picture, LaTisha's experience is a reminder that reality TV fame is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it gives opportunities, exposure, and a platform to build businesses. On the other hand, it opens the door to lies, criticism, and attacks that can feel very personal. And when those attacks happen, the stars often realize that they don't have as much power to fight back as they thought. As fans, we also see how these behind-the-scenes realities connect with the stories we watch on screen. When Martell dared her to sue him, it created drama for the show, but off-screen, it left LaTisha frustrated and hurt. When she shared Sculpt's successes online, it inspired fans, but it also highlighted how little of that story has been told on the show. It's all part of the complicated relationship between reality TV, real life, and public perception. For LaTisha, the main lesson seems to be about choosing her battles. She wanted to defend her name, but in the end, she realized that some fights aren't worth it. Instead, she is focusing on her faith, her family, and her business. And even though she may never get the apology or accountability she wants from Martell, she knows that her truth will eventually shine through.